Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE WORLD Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE WORLD Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me, I have Miss Daphne Lynn. And how are you today, my lovely hostess?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm really into this Universal Divine Oneness, the UDO, and that's part of the series that we're working on at the moment. And,
Yes.
It is all part of the NDE World Podcast because it ties in beautifully with near-death experiences. So that's what I love about it, So
And it gives us action steps to take with what we've learned and how we've transformed our lives.
Yeah.
It just really ties in perfectly and gives us a direction and little steps to take in how to apply what we are learning.
That's right. And I can't wait to really actually start getting into the actual
The laws
the
of it.
process and the laws and the steps.
Yes.
But we're going to take you by the hand, guys. Yesterday we opened up with a little introduction, and this is a continuation of that. Just kind of set a foundation for what UDO actually is. And for those of you who are here new today, be sure to check out the previous episode, and we really, cover it really well. But we're going to be talking about it from here on out for a while. But UDO is an acronym for Universal Divine Oneness, okay? AKA Universal Consciousness, part of that consciousness. Some people call it Christ consciousness. I have heard it called that before. But enlightenment, we're about enlightenment. There's so many people that need to be enlightened out there, but they have no clue where to start. And the key is it's in all of us, okay? We just don't know how to do it because it's been blocked. We've been raised certain ways and conditioned and programmed certain ways. But that's why we're here, to start lifting the veil, to be able to start showing how we can all be enlightened. And the number one thing to remember is that you are one with the all.
Yeah, that's what so many of our NDEers...
separate from that,
Yeah, that's what so many of our NDEers have come back saying, that, everything is energy and we're all one. We're all part of that.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. And we're going to be really covering, more in details and things like that. But those of you who are listening and tuning in, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and listening to the podcast. Again, we are the NDE World Podcast. We cover mystical, magical, spiritual, supernatural, all the really cool stuff like that, near-death experiences and all that good phenomena. But more information about who we are and what we do, it could be found over at the website at nde.world. And we have lots of podcasts. You may want something about a particular subject, topic, or whatever, but there's plenty over there that would really help you grow. And again, that website is
NDE.world. Yeah, and be sure to hit that contact or share your experience button, because that you can, through that, share your story, your experiences, as well as make suggestions and just give some feedback, on what you're enjoying about listening to the podcast.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, topic at hand, enlightenment. We covered it yesterday, that enlightenment is when a person goes through the experience of crucifixion, okay? And crucifixion is the term that we use to describe killing the ego, okay? In a more balanced way, is looking at really getting the ego into harmony and balance with the one, okay? So, but the term is, we have to destroy the self, the illusion that we are separate from everyone else. We are separate from God. We are separate from all the animals and everything. We think we are separated,
but
and that
not.
is the illusion of ego.
And we have to die to that.
Yeah, you have to kill that part of you that you relate, that you think you're somebody different. You are your own individual, but you're an individuality of something else. You see, so it's not you, because you're part of that something else, and that something else is what connects all of us. And that's what is referred to as that universal spirit, okay? The universal divine consciousness. And like we talked about yesterday, when you're in harmony with the universal consciousness, okay, it's referred to as UDO, okay? And it's just an acronym that we use to describe Universal Divine Oneness. You are no longer separate because you've killed the ego. You acknowledge that, hey, whoa, I am that person. I am you. I am me. I am God. I am the sun, the moon, the stars, the rain. When you realize that I am, okay, and I am whatever I need to be. That's deep, guys. But when it starts to resonate, okay, now we're getting into harmony with enlightenment, aka Udo.
Yeah, and with you saying that, it just really reminds me of the I am that I am.
Right.
You know, we have many masters that have said that, not just one. So, and realizing that we are one with that great divine spirit, we can say that ourselves because he said that we are made in the likeness of, meaning that we are little creators ourselves. That, you know, we create our reality every day in everything we do. We may not realize that that is what we are doing, but we are. We create our surroundings.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just take a look around. Everything you see started in someone's mind somewhere. All right, now let's dive right into today's topic at hand. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the topic of enlightenment. Now, referring to Udo, right here, it says here that universal consciousness, okay, once a person has attained a level of enlightenment, okay, and I saw something on TV, and I showed Daphne yesterday because it blew me away, you know, when I first saw it a few weeks back, and I went back, tried to find a video, couldn't find it, and yesterday I found it. I've got to show Daphne. I've never seen an enlightened soul before, okay, you know, someone who was illuminated, okay, they had a light about them, you know. I hear stories of, you know, Krishna, he had a blue light to him that surrounded him everywhere he went. Jesus had this light about him, this illuminated kind of, you know, so I don't know, it was really something pretty interesting. But this guy he was lighting up the whole room. He was glowing so much, like they can use him as a nightlight or something, you know.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see. I mean, you could see that, you know, just the love, I guess, the energy that's coming off from that, because it really takes meditation and focus to get to that point for us in this day. But, you know, the masters in a snap can be that because they're totally aware of their divinity.
Absolutely.
And their oneness with everything and everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we refer to as the Udo concept. Now, once a person, as we had mentioned earlier, has reached this level of Udo or enlightenment, okay, or Christ consciousness, okay, whatever you want to call it, generally they no longer read books about spiritual teachings or philosophies because they are of no use to them, okay? They just don't need them anymore. Now, when you become enlightened, all right, listen to me, you are very, very busy helping others to attain the same freedom, peace, and unselfish love that you have found, okay? Or you go on and ascend to even a higher vibrational plane, aka the ascended masters, okay? However, if you stay and you work here on this plane, okay, you work for the universal spirit, so to speak, okay? You align your will with the universal will, and thus you become very busy doing your little part in the universal flow.
Right.
Okay? Part of Udo. Now, notice how it brings out here that humility will get you to peace of mind and enlightenment faster than anything else. Let me repeat that. Humility, okay, will get you to peace of mind and enlightenment faster than anything else. A quote-unquote spiritual ego will prevent it. All right? We're a little bit of a hum. I'm going to read this last paragraph. I'm not going to keep going. Spirituality is simple. Love is simple. Truth is simple. Enlightenment is simple. It's all basic stuff that we already know deep down inside, somehow. But yet, most people don't live by it, and they've blocked it out.
That reminds me, just how true this statement is. Because from religious standpoint, when you listen to your intuition, you listen to your heart, that is demonic. You shouldn't be doing that. So we're programmed fear from the start, when it is very simple. It is a natural thing for us to listen to our intuition. It's preserved life. When think about in the early history of mankind, they lived out in nature. They had to listen to that intuition to keep them alive and surviving.
They didn't have the distractions.
Right.
You see, what do we have today? What do we have today that is fighting for your time and your attention? Guess what? Everywhere you look, first thing in mind is your cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
How many people have cell phones?
And that's why I love getting out in nature. I do. I just love getting away from the hustle
leave the
and
cell
bustle
phone
of
at home.
everything.
Yeah. Leave the
Sit
cell
outside.
phone at home and go outside.
Go outside and sit with my cat and just enjoy the wind and the sun and even the clouds when the clouds are present. It's just, and realize that we are part of every bit of that we're enjoying. The trees, the insects, the bird sounds, everything around you, you are part of.
Yes, it's beautiful, and that's what Udo really is, So we are all one. And that is the concept behind all of it, So, and like it says here, it says, now whatever reason is holding you back, okay, from what you need to do to achieve enlightenment and oneness with what we call God, the source, is not a good enough reason. And knowledge can only point the way. However, you are the one who must actually take the journey. Nobody's going to do it for you guys.
Exactly. Self-responsibility.
Yes,
Hello.
Which is a universal law.
Yes, exactly.
And we're going to be covering that too. Universal laws. Yes, I can't wait.
Yeah, I cannot wait to get into the universal laws and start really getting the knowledge out there, because this is a lot of lost knowledge. I mean, there are those out there that are aware of this, but we're going to share it with those who don't. And it may be some in these that you may not even know it when you are aware.
That's right. Okay, next, another concept to understand about Udo is the concept of religion. Now, there are a variety of reasons that can be behind the founding of a religion. Some are good, however, some are bad. Now, both good and bad religions have been created, okay? There are religions that started as a means for worship, some to help people improve themselves spiritually or otherwise. Others, however, were specifically created just to control and have power over the people. Okay, you've got to understand this.
Which is most religions today.
Exactly. That's what they have all became. Yes, absolutely. It's all a control thing. But even many religions that started with good intentions degenerated over time into self-serving power structures whose main function was to control people and make money. They vary in their methods and functions. Most offer their members personal salvation through following the religion's belief systems, their rituals, and dogma. Thus, they insinuate that you will not find God or salvation if you don't follow their particular religion.
Oh, yeah.
Most also aim to fill an emotional or psychological need in people's hearts and minds. They generally each have their own dogma, okay, answers to spiritual questions about God, who we are, and the rules that we should live by. Some religions, however, control by using people's insecurity and have been formed based on the insecurity of an ignorant society. Some were based on fear. There's the fear of hell, which is religion as fire insurance, quote unquote. I like that. There is the fear of God. Daphne?
Yeah, this is really just taking and placing what you already know externally from yourself. Because our subconscious and superconscious knows our own divinity. And religions take and tell you that that source is external, that you have to go through them
to get to it.
Right. And that is not the case, because we are all divine. And that's realizing that oneness that we've been talking about, is that you are part of everything, that oneness.
That's right. And when you realize, okay, here's how psychology works, guys. When you understand that you are God, then you want to be good. You have no problem living, you
in
shouldn't
harmony
anyway.
with everything.
But, the more enlightened you are, the easier it is for you to be kind, to be loving, to be caring, to be enlightened, okay?
Yeah.
If you're taught all your life that you're no good and you're a sinner, then you're a no good sinner, and you're going to get out and be and live
a no good sinful life.
No good sinner. Absolutely.
Right.
So you see how it all works.
Yeah, and in that external source or salvation or whatever you want to call it, you're giving your power away. You're giving your power away. Bring your power back into yourself, and then you can realize these laws that you already know. They're within you. They are written within your very fiber.
Right.
Because we are extensions of God.
Absolutely. This ties in right here, this next part on what you just said, Daphne. Said that it is religion that basically comes from the idea of needing to worship and serve a God or some kind of powerful supreme being, okay, something that's out there. Because you actually need to fear him if you don't. Because he is all-powerful and has negative emotional attributes, commits atrocities when angry or jealous, and always great suffering and disasters when he could easily stop them.
Right, yeah. I mean, that is the God of many religions, many denominations out there, and for myself, I mean, I've been a part of many of these denominations, but I've taken back my power. I don't have to rely on someone else to tell me what's right and wrong. That is ingrained within my fiber. I know right from wrong. I can love all. I can harm none.
Yeah.
It is, there's such a release of fear when you can get rid of that wrathful God that most religions serve, because you live in fear, and fear lowers your vibration. And I think it was brought out in one of our guest episodes that that word fear was actually awe, to live in awe of the divine. But the religions have taken it and made fear, so it created this fear that lowers your vibration, not raise it.
Yeah.
So when you can take back your power and release those fears, it is very enlightening. It's very enlightening. When you can become awake to that, then you can live a totally different, more blessed and harmonious life.
We obviously cannot prove ancient history. You can't.
Right.
Nor do we feel it is important. We do care about the reality of human life and suffering now. Okay, that's the mindset you have to adopt for Udo. The things that really impact everyone's life on Earth. Okay, so what we want and what we really care about is simply for everyone to be kind, caring, compassionate, and harmless. Is it really too much to even ask if you believe you are descended from an ape? Is it really too much to ask if you believe God created you out of Adam's rib? Who cares? We don't think it's too much to ask. Regardless of what you believe, don't believe, or have faith in, or don't have faith in, be nice and loving and caring to all. Okay, that's the point. Regardless of your religion's taking you to a higher place, and that's great. That's great. Now, when referring to the actual natural path of universal laws, okay, which we're going to be getting into here shortly, the universal laws are the laws that cannot be changed, okay? They are laws that are part of that universal divine consciousness, okay? And man-made laws can be broken all day, so that shows you right there they're not really laws, okay? But there are real universal laws, and we're going to get into them and show you all how we can actually start to really focus and start acknowledging these laws and applying them into our everyday life for our own personal enlightenment.
Right. And from what I understand, all of creation lives in harmony with these laws except for man. Everything in the universe is in harmony with this except for man.
Think about that.
Really?
Yes, it's crazy. Like this next paragraph really explains it, that the beliefs and the teachings of Udo, okay, are not formed based on faith. Okay?
Right.
Most of the basis of them came from ancient writings and ancient historical documents and things like that to us, okay? Our knowledge, philosophies, and practices are simply gleaned from the quote-unquote scientific facts of universal laws that govern all things in the universe, including the use of the mind and energy.
Which is what I was just talking about with all creation is living in harmony with that, except for man.
Right. So we have to get everybody back in harmony with universal laws.
Yes.
They are merely the result of observations of the universal forces that are involved in the practical applications of our spiritual and physical existence. Thus, even today, understanding the substance of even the ancient beliefs requires no faith, okay, but rather a certain quality of intuitive logic.
Wow.
In fact, the path urges us not to take the teachings on faith, but to experience God and higher consciousness directly.
Holy crap.
Daphne?
That is just absolutely wonderful, and so ties in with the Conversations with God book, because we're here to experience life no matter what comes at us. It is here to just experience. So that is beautiful that this book is bringing that out, to be aware and experience that divinity and that higher consciousness as a direct experience.
Yes, it resonates. It's all
It really does for me. Yes,
all part of that oneness. I like how it's brought out here. It says that way we can really know. Okay, it's not a matter of having faith and just I believe. No, if you can really know and have that one-on-one experience with the all, it's life-changing, mind-blowing, and this is what the real masters really truly taught before religion got a hold of it. But like it says here, that way you'll really know, okay, rather than just taking something on faith and hoping really bad that it's true.
Right. And I like the way that it brings it out here too. It says there is no more powerful way to change your life in a real and lasting way than to directly experience this universal consciousness, and thus experience and know your oneness with universal spirit, with that divine.
That's what the masters taught.
Yes,
Yeshua,
they all knew it.
The real Yeshua of history. Yeah, he had his connection. He was one with the all. He taught oneness. He taught divine oneness. Okay.
Even said that you yourselves are gods.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on.
Like it says here, the teachings both give us methods to expand our awareness and directly experience God and universal consciousness, while also explaining to us the effects of universal laws in simple terms, even if the law itself is difficult to understand. Okay? Now keep in mind, true spirituality is tied to universal laws. Okay? Let me repeat that. True spirituality is tied to universal laws. Daphne?
It's very true. I mean, just live it, experience it. Your true spirituality is not in going through a set way of dogma, that this is the only way it is, because there are many ways to source to that universal truth of the universe.
Yeah. And like it says here, it says, As opposed to other quote-unquote religious orders, Judo is a natural quote-unquote religion, or more appropriately, a natural spiritual path.
Exactly.
And I like that better, because religion has got such a bad name and a bad rap. And
it leaves a bad taste in your mouth for many people. And I think that's why we're having so many people that are agnostic and atheists altogether, because they see or have lived, experienced something in their life that has made them come to that decision.
Yeah. And like it says, it's natural. Okay, Judo is natural because it is based on nature. Keep this in mind, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the nature of this planet, but the nature of the universe. Okay, keep that in mind. It was founded on an understanding of the way the universe functions, and it endeavors to apply the laws and flow that govern it to human conditions. So that's what this whole foundation is built on, actually the natural way. It's also the way that, say, like Yeshua, a lot of those ancient masters had walked as well. It is in the way of the way, which was they were walking and living in harmony with the universal laws. Now, let's take a look at belief itself, okay? Because belief is everything when it comes to all this what we're talking about. I like how it's brought out here that what matters to me about you is not really what you think or believe, what religion you belong to, or even if you're an atheist, but how you conduct yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What matters to me most is whether or not you are a loving, kind acting, caring, thinking, harmless person. Unfortunately, a person's beliefs do greatly influence how they think and act.
It really does.
Mm-hmm. Now, regardless of whether or not you believe it, your beliefs control your destiny. So they need to be closely scrutinized for what they create in your life. What you think and believe greatly affect whatever or not you are a saint, an evil monster, and everything in between. Like a somewhat kind person or a somewhat mean person. What we believed was irrelevant. Religious beliefs are frequently based on faith, and they are most often something we are taught to believe early in life by our family's religious beliefs and religion. Other beliefs are absorbed also from our cultures. People don't usually stop and think about the fact that something as seemingly innocuous and insubstantial as our mere quote-unquote beliefs really have much effect on our lives. But they do. In fact, they not only have tremendous effects on our lives, but they also control much of our destiny.
You know, I love the way this is brought out, because it makes me think about so many of our NDEers and how they've talked about, you know, their experiences on the other side, you know, and through the Conversations of God book, you know, what your beliefs are is what you experience. If you experience or believe that, you know, God is wrathful and you're going to be judged, then, and you're going to burn in hell, then you're going to create that for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the NDEers that have the distressing ones, and also why we have the hybrid accounts, because it's based on our beliefs, because they may have created this hellish, distressing NDE, but they said, no, this is not all there is, and asked for help, and help came immediately. And then there's those that had the completely heavenly, blissful experiences from the start. It's based on our belief systems.
Yeah. Beliefs are very powerful.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely. Like it's brought out here, a belief itself is just an idea. It has no real substance, guys. And we call it BS, belief systems.
Blind faith, too.
Yeah, it's just, you just believe. But, you know, it doesn't mean that it's real, that it's true. It's just a belief. Now, we act based upon our beliefs. The actions that we take, because of our beliefs, it does have effects. And only the effects or the results of those actions are the things that we can see, feel, and grasp. Now, this is very important to realize, because the effects of our actions, which result from our beliefs, are precisely the things that can be used to determine the value, good or bad, of any given belief. Okay, stick with me here. Now, for example, if you are kind to me because you believe that we are all brothers and sisters, your kind actions are something real, something that we both know is good. And kind actions are transcendent of language, culture, and whatever you and I believe as spiritual truth. Okay, that's just the truth of it. Now, likewise, if you were cruel to me because of a belief, I will know it is a bad belief. Okay, because of the way you treated me. Now, these are obvious examples, of course, and the results of many beliefs may be not so clear cut. Now, nevertheless, all beliefs subsequently generate their own thoughts and actions, good or bad. Okay? So now, what should we believe for the greatest good for ourselves and the rest of the world? Unselfishly loving all beings. Okay? Well, let me repeat that. Unselfishly love all beings, including yourself, including the little creatures outside, the little insects flying around, the birds, the sun, moon, stars, everything, every person, every continent, every soul, old, young, whatever, wherever you're from, you have got to start understanding that you are one with all of them.
Mm-hmm. And that all life is precious.
That's right.
There's no higher or lower life, quote unquote, form. Life is life.
Life is.
Exactly, yes. If you get a fly or a spider in your house and you go kill it, well, you've just taken life. It's not a lower form than yourself. You're not high and mighty, but you're life itself. That creation is life itself. And when you take life, that's cruel.
Yeah.
That's cool. You're taking another's
allowing them to
experience their life,
enjoy their life as a gift. Yeah. You see how it's all connected, And also now, caring about others, compassion, kindness, these are all qualities of unselfish love. Okay. Now, if these are things that we can all agree that are good, then unselfish love can be used as a common or universal measuring stick of goodness. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, if unselfish love is the result of true spirituality, these virtues can also be used as the measuring stick of spirituality. What that means is, such a measuring stick can be used to compare the manifestations of any belief and thus compare the value of any belief. Okay, and what that means is, just because a person has a belief, what kind of life are they living? Okay, they may have a strong faith in their church, in their religion, in their God, in their belief system, but they can be a monster, you see? They can be cruel. They can be uncaring. They can be unloving. They can be selfish. They can be all of these things. So that is a measuring stick. That unselfish love is a measuring stick. You can take that same measuring stick and measure this person over here. They're not going to church. They're not caught up into religion, not doing this, but they're doing things for each other. They're helping each other. They're loving. They're caring. They're harmless. They're not hurting anything. Mm-hmm. You see, that is the measuring stick that it's referring to.
And, I see this in so much. I work out in the public as well. So there's many times, I'll get on a spiritual topic with someone and they're like, oh, well, where do you go to church at? And then when I say, I don't go to church, well, I get this look like, well, how can you even be talking about such things like this? I mean, it's very dogmatic. That is that conditioned love that we see. If you're not doing things the way I believe, then you're wrong. You're going to be condemned. Yeah. And that's why these universal laws are part of each and every one of us. Because they are not condemning. They are not, judging. They are very unselfishly loving laws that are part of nature and part of us. And we can apply these in our lives and live that life that is in harmony with nature, that is in harmony with being kind and respectful, loving to every form of life that there is.
Yeah, yeah. And that's part of that Udo. That's coming to a oneness mindset.
Exactly. Yes. Very
much.
well said. Which is the point of this series.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
helping to raise the consciousness and awareness of the divine laws.
Yes. Okay, now here's where we have to really start getting serious about what we're talking about here and understanding the concept or the reality of what we call separateness.
The illusion of separateness.
Yeah. The illusion of separateness. That's where the ego dwells. That's where all the garbage dwells. That's where all the pain in the world dwells, is in the illusion of self. Okay? That separateness creates the actual selfishness. Okay? And the separateness is the illusion that you are not God. So we really have to understand what separateness is. Okay? Separateness is the world around us. Separateness is what's causing all of the pain, all of the, what we call the darkness, the evil, the greed. It's all filtering and feeding fear and the self and the ego and that, and we're going to get into it more later. However, by aligning yourself up with the universal divine, okay, and then applying the universal laws in your life, you can get out of the dark and get back into the light, to be able to walk. And that's the purpose of this whole, process that we're going through here. But I'd like to share this part here. It says that this separateness, okay, spawns differences and selfishness. Okay? Let me repeat that. Separateness, okay, this illusion of separateness creates selfishness. All right, and it spawns differences, okay? It's us against them. You see, you're no longer one. How much harm has been done in the name of God, country, or tribe? How much horror and pain has been inflicted because someone has a different racial, national, tribal, class, or religious belief?
Yep.
More than we can really grasp with our limited brains. Any individual who wants to grow, attain enlightenment, or be a really good person must completely reevaluate their beliefs in the light of the effects those beliefs have, where they came from, and why. Okay? So we're going to be covering more of this in future episodes and things like that. But I like this part here. It says that the difference of who you are and what you do with universal consciousness is as night and day.
Yes.
That is why when you finally realize universal consciousness, and you are one with that universal consciousness, that is, when it finally is what you have achieved, it is called enlightenment or illumination, aka Christ consciousness. Okay? It is as if a light switch has been turned on in a life that has been lived in total darkness. Daphne.
Yes, and there's such beauty in being able to experience this and then live in harmony with all of life. I mean, you can grow and love and help others and be of service in so many ways without being dogmatic or judgmental in any form or fashion. When you can let somebody have their belief without having to say, well, they're wrong the way they believe. That is harmful to others when you condemn them.
That's right.
But when you can set that aside and let everyone live in a peaceful, enlightened, under these universal laws and awareness of our consciousness and our divinity, it is profound. It is life-changing. And that is why we're going over this series, is to help awaken and help others to realize their divinity.
That's right.
And apply these laws within their life to help them live a greater, more fulfilled life experience.
That's right. And the way you do that is by applying the laws and working in harmony with those laws.
Yes.
And keep in mind, like it's brought out here, that every human being is obviously an individual self. Okay, it's
Right.
obvious. You can't get around that. That's not what the issue is, because you are you. You are that individual expression of the I am. Okay. Most people are both conscious that they are an individual self and believe that their individual self is separate from other people. Okay, and everything else in the universe. Now, people generally have separate self-consciousness, and they live their lives based on this consciousness. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so that's that. When you look around, most people, that's their consciousness, separate self-consciousness instead of
Right. That's why you
Udo.
have so many. This is mine. This is my world. It's all
beliefs
about
and-
me. You know, when that is not necessarily the case. You know, yes, we are individuations of that, but we need to remove those fences and pillars and open up to be able to be of service to each other, to help each other to grow. And the illusion is, you know, you are you and I am me. And there is truth in that, but there's also truth in that you are you and I am me, and we are one.
Right. It ties in with that, that separate self-consciousness that most people have.
Right.
And keep in mind, guys, if everyone has this separate self-consciousness, that it is the self-consciousness that creates the separate consciousness. You see how this works? Okay. Now, this alters the point of view. In regards to a point of view, having separate self-consciousness means that having a point of view that is limited to seeing things from only one place.
Right.
The place where the separate self is at. Okay? This can mean seeing things from an actual physical point of view that is limited to just the place where the person's located. The point of view is very limited and the perspective is narrow when a person has separate self-consciousness. There are varying degrees of narrow-mindedness, of course, but even the most broad point of view that comes from just one person with separate self-consciousness must be limited and incomplete, because it is a view that is still from only one place, only from that one separate self. Okay? Thus, it is a point of view that will have limited understanding. And if a person has such limited understanding, what kind of thoughts are they limited to? And if their thoughts are from such limited perception and understanding, then what kind of action will they take regarding other people and the world around them? Just take a look around the world. And here's the main thing to keep in mind. All problems spring forth from this. How? Separate self-consciousness. Because of its limitations and narrow-mindedness, it boxes its perceptions of the world into pieces that are extensions of its self. Everything in your immediate world becomes an extension of you, or your separate self. For instance, there's your neighborhood, your town, your country, your state, your status, and so forth. Okay, you get the point. Because the separate self relates to these as extensions of itself, okay, most people support their country, for instance, just because it's their country. And it gives them a reason to go out and slaughter other countries in war, okay, because they associate more to the self as extensions of themselves,
And when we can live in the universal oneness, those laws, we are all of this plane. No matter where geographically you are located.
That's right.
We are all one.
Connected, that's right.
We are all of the human race.
Human
we
family.
are a collective. Therefore, we are one.
Yeah, and we are all one with the one. Because
Exactly.
we are the one.
Exactly. I get that.
Now, like I said, many people, they'll come up with reasons why their country is the best, okay, or more important.
I go to war for it.
But the problem is that many people believe that their country is, quote unquote, it, or is the best, or the most important, or the most right, regardless of any reason to think so or not. And by doing so, they care less about other countries and the people of those other countries. Do you see how this works, guys? Can you see the illusion that everybody has bitten and taken the hook, line, and sinker? I don't know the expression, but just look around.
If everyone's country is the best, then who's right? They can't all be right, right?
Right.
So that phenomenon is even worse when it comes to a person's outlook on religion.
Exactly.
That division. We've got to get away from the division and get back to the universal oneness.
Right. Like it says here, many people think theirs is the only right religion.
Yeah.
And thus the only one that will provide salvation for anyone else. And many of these people actually hate other religions and their practitioners. Think about this, guys. So when there's more than one religion claiming to be the only right one, it creates a question of who's right and who's wrong, and the dilemma of choosing the right one or facing the consequences of having chosen the wrong one. In other words, like not getting into heaven or going to hell, etc. Now, but getting back to the idea of everyone thinking that their country is the best, consider this. What country ever went into battle without quote-unquote God on their side? World War II, all sides believed God was on their side, including the Nazis. What country starts a war thinking that they're in the wrong? All of these perceptions and beliefs originate from separate selves and the territories they consider extensions of themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? Most everyone favors not just their country, but all the extensions of their separate selves. They favor their race, favor their ethnic group, favor their school, favor their local team, favor their political party, etc., etc. But a precious few people have begun to expand their self-consciousness to include bigger pictures.
Yep.
Okay. And it says, take, for example, those who have become so environmentally conscious that they are environmentally active. You know, they are those who have achieved that, okay? And they understand the importance of the flow and balance of nature on Earth. Having separate self-consciousness does not mean that you are really separate, but it does mean having a total illusion of separateness from everyone and everything else in the universe. Okay, guys, that sums it up. That tells you exactly right there what separate self-consciousness is. And you have to get out of that separate self-consciousness. Like it's brought out here, having separate self-consciousness does not mean that you are really separate, but it does mean having a total illusion of separateness from everyone else, you know, and everything in the universe.
I think of the example of many people here in the United States have heard of or know about who Grizzly Adams was, his connection with nature. He was aware of his oneness with all things. And I like the story because it says, you know, a beaver actually had dammed up a creek next to where he had built his cabin, and it was threatening to flood his cabin, and he moved and built a new cabin rather than to disturb the beaver dam.
Natural.
And that's the natural. That's being connected with one and not harming another, because he could have built, just went and destroyed the dam and that beaver's way of life. But he chose to up and change his place of location rather than destroying nature, because the beaver's living in harmony with nature as it was.
That's right.
He was the one that had to up and move somewhere else. And that's just being totally aware of the connectedness, your consciousness of all things. Yeah. And there's such beauty in that.
There is. That as a beautiful example too. But how many people you think is going to be doing that these days? Man has gotten good at destruction. They're going in and just tearing stuff up, don't even think twice about it. Why do you think everything's so off balance?
I know.
Because of that separate self-consciousness. We have no clue of the oneness with all. That's the issue. And that perfectly ties in with this last little section here, and we'll probably go ahead and wrap up after this. But the main thing to keep in mind, it says that when someone believes that they are separate, okay, they focus their attention and their energy on their self. Mm-hmm. This naturally this naturally leads to quote unquote selfishness. Okay, selfishness. Now, this is very important, so pay close attention. This is the big issue, the big problem of all problems, the only real problem. As silly and simple as it sounds, it is serious. Simple selfishness is the root of all problems and evils that exist on earth. This is one of the greatest, most important teachings to understand. So, say it back to me, all right? Selfishness is the root of all problems and evils that exist on earth. Say it back with me, Daphne. Let's one more time for the listeners. Selfishness is the root of all problems and evils that exist on earth. There's your thing. So the purpose of Udo is to bring your awareness back to the oneness and to help destroy that separate self, or the ego, which is that separate self-consciousness, and get back in balance with things.
Right. And in reading that, I'm having these little things from when I was in the religious part of my life. It said that money was the root of all evil. Pinpointing it external, there's something else that's the root of all evil.
Good point.
And that is not the case. All evilness comes from within.
Good point.
Not external. All goodness comes from within. We are conscious beings having a physical experience here on earth, and we can choose to be good and kind and love and harm none, or we can choose to be filthy, rotten, horrible monsters. It's your choice. Yeah, so evil it does not exist outside of yourself.
Correct.
You create it.
That's right. And you can see its fruits, Just like anything else you create. Look around. You can see the world we've created.
Exactly.
Where there's evil, that's because people have created it. Now, let's wrap up on this. I like how this kind of like sums everything up, guys. I just kind of want to leave this with them, Daphne, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up.
Sure.
It says that through unselfish love, self-sacrifice, caring, giving, seeing the illusions of self-consciousness that we carry with us in our mind, and breaking them. Okay, keep that in mind. Please don't let the teachings that promote oneness be misunderstood as promoting a one-world religion or government, okay, where oneness and peace are enforced by human rule or dogma. That's not what it's about.
That's not what it's about.
Nothing could be further from the truth. Now, like it says here, we are first of all proponents of freedom and free will. I'm talking about an internal way of being, a consciousness that includes sensitivity, compassion, and freedom, and caring about all people, creatures, all creation, as much as you do about yourself. So I just kind of wanted to leave that, as a kind of a final thought there.
And when we can get into this mindset that, we are one with everything, that, you can be a sensitive, compassionate, caring person and still be you. It's an internal way of being, that consciousness. We can live a compassionate, sensitive, carefree, freedom life.
Right.
And be one with everything and all creatures. It's about raising the consciousness that you are not separate.
Right. And once you become aware of that consciousness, it's about the choices you make, and the choices that you make are based on your beliefs.
Right.
And when you understand and realize, whoa, okay, I am connected. We are all connected. What I do affects this person, affects that person. God only knows where the rippling effect goes with our actions.
Exactly.
So, well, perfect. Let's go ahead and wrap up today with that right there. So we're pretty much setting a foundation, guys. So you're kind of understanding exactly what Udo is, okay? And to understand what that is, that universal divine oneness and, that consciousness and everything, and be in harmony with that, you have to understand that there is that separate self-consciousness as well that's out there. And unfortunately, that's where most of the world is, and that's where most of the ego dwells as well. So,
Right.
but we're here for all of us. We're all a work in progress. We're going through this process ourselves. So, and we're sharing it as we learn, and so we're all helping each other grow, and
raising that
moving
consciousness
on and growing. Yeah.
And it is about self-responsibility.
Yeah.
No one else can make these changes but you. No one else can walk this life but you.
And no one can save you.
Self-responsibility. There is no external savior that you need, because you are self-responsible.
Yep. And along with that self-responsibility is self-discipline, which are both universal laws, believe it or not.
I cannot wait to get into the laws on this. Oh my gosh, going over them. I mean, it's just like, you don't realize, or I didn't realize for myself, how many of them, before I was even aware of them, that I was actually living. Mm-hmm. So when you start hearing these divine laws, it's you're going to be like, oh wow, I'm already doing that. So you're already in the process of.
Yeah.
So there's beauty in that, knowing that you're on the right path.
Absolutely. And the beauty of the universal laws is, you can't escape them.
Exactly.
And if you know how to live in harmony with them and work with them and apply them in your life, then guess what? You are in harmony with the God within you. Now you can actually say that I am God. You are actually living as God instead of living as ego.
Right, yeah.
So, all right, beautiful. Let's go ahead and wrap up, Daphne. And thank you all for tuning in today on the NDE World Podcast. We love you all so much. And don't forget to go to the website, NDE.world, for more information on who we are and what we do. We love you so much. May peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.